This decline has publicly been described as costing a financial impact to Boeing to the tune of $18 billion. That's 18 billion with a B dollars. Not only could something like that be catastrophic to the typical corporate company, but the hearings that went on after that, the congressional hearings, the employee costs to testify in front of Congress or to answer questions from Congress as to why this occurred, those impacts could be devastating to most companies. And as we can see from the public information on Boeing 737 MAX issue, the financial impact is significant. Questions asked by Congress were things like who had decision authority? How were concerns escalated to the next level's position? What governance structures were in place prior to the event? And how are key assumptions documented and reviewed? In high consequence industries, operational performance is evaluated in the moment, but governance processes are evaluated afterwards. When organizations face regulatory reviews, shareholder scrutiny, or public examination, the focus often shifts from what happened to how decisions were structured, documented, and escalated. If we take the highest point here, we can see we never even reached that point again. This area is all the profit loss that Boeing is achieving basically because of that crisis. This area is what my company, Sentinel Command Group, works in. We help or try to help mitigate companies from falling into this pitfall. Not that we can guarantee that they won't, but we can certainly show where they've tried to do the steps necessary to make sure their company doesn't fall into an $18 billion deficit. This case illustrates how governance framework can become a major event. And usually companies don't get involved until a crisis occurs. That's not the time to discuss decision-making, governance, and how processes are decided and who decides at certain levels. The time is now before a crisis occurs, or you know what? Sometimes it could be a successful operation, no issues, but 6 months down the road, somebody comes along or some review committee comes along and says, hey, how was that decision made? Where's it written? How did it become about? And was that the proper position to make that decision? That's where Sentinel Command Group can assist. At Sentinel Command Group, our focus is on helping organizations examine their decision making and their policy structures before they need to justify it, and really before those policies and frameworks are tested. At Sentinel Command Group, it's justify, codify, make. Justify the decision-making process, codify authority and escalation that's in policy, make decisions defensible under later scrutiny. If your organization operates in a regulated, high scrutinized, or publicly scrutinized environment, an independent governance review may be worth considering. Because when decisions matter, governance is what gets examined later.